Okay, so you know how we're all trying to like feel our best,
Yeah.
like really have things clicking.
Yeah.
It's interesting how so many of us end up thinking about, dietary supplements
Mm-hmm.
when we're trying to get to that point of optimal health.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to do like a super deep dive into that whole world.
Cool.
We've got a ton of info here from all sorts of places. The NIH, that's the National Institutes of Health, right?
Right.
We've got some insights from Professor Roberto Grobman.
Okay.
We've looked at PubMed, core prescribing solutions, RPS hospitals,
Wow, covering all the bases.
and even the Better Health Channel. Just a lot of stuff to dig into.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And I think what's really striking is right off the bat, just how many people are using supplements these days.
Yeah, it's amazing. Over half of Americans are taking them,
Really?
either regularly or at least occasionally. So that's a huge number.
Wow.
And I think that points to this really widespread desire to either get more nutrients or maybe just feel a bit better overall, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Makes you wonder, like, what's really driving that trend?
for sure. So our mission for this deep dive, and you're already on board because you're listening, is to figure out if supplements could actually be good for you
I like it. A mission.
as an individual.
Right.
We're talking everything from basic multivitamins to the more, I guess, specialized botanical and herbal products.
Gotcha.
All those pills and powders and liquids.
Okay. So where do we start with all this?
Let's just tackle the biggest question first.
Okay.
Do we even need supplements?
Right. Right to the heart of it. I mean, the fundamental thing, and the NIH and Carol Hagen, she's a researcher there, they both make this super clear. It's totally possible to get all the nutrients your body needs just from eating a healthy diet,
Okay.
a diverse one. So, like, baseline, you don't have to take supplements. They really stress that a good diet is key.
Right, like that's what we've all heard. Right, fruits, veggies, the whole nine yards.
Exact.
But then they say, oh, but supplements can help fill those gaps.
Yeah,
You know, life happens, perfect eating's tough.
it is.
But then we hear from Professor Grobman, and he's got a much stronger take. Like, he's saying supplements are indispensable.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He thinks they're vital for optimal nutrition, even disease prevention.
Interesting.
He's convinced that for a lot of people, getting ideal nutrient levels just from diet is, like, really hard or even impossible.
Huh. So Professor Grobman's kind of pushing back against the standard NIH advice then.
It seems that way, right?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if maybe those guidelines aren't really enough for optimal health, considering, like, how our food is produced these days.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he gives this pretty wild example. He says you'd have to eat 41 bananas to get your daily vitamin B6.
41! That's a lot of bananas.
I know, right? My potassium would be through the roof.
You'd probably be sick of bananas.
Totally.
Okay.
And then there's this research from PubMed that adds another layer. Their surveys show that most people aren't getting enough of most vitamins and minerals.
Hmm.
And they highlight how some groups, especially, aren't getting enough vitamin D and iron.
Okay, so are they talking about, like, just not enough to avoid deficiency?
Well, that's what's interesting. They make this distinction about those recommended amounts. They say those levels are often just set to prevent deficiency,
Ah, I see.
like the bare minimum,
Yeah.
not necessarily for optimal health.
Right, like actually thrive.
Exactly. They even suggest that to lower chronic disease risk, you might need way more nutrients than you could realistically get from diet alone.
So it's like enough water to survive versus enough to feel amazing.
Perfect analogy.
Thanks.
Okay, so it seems like a perfect diet could maybe do the trick, but modern life, busy schedules, not so perfect eating,
Yeah, for sure.
and wanting to be optimally healthy, not just not sick, that kind of creates a space for supplements.
Yeah, I get it. So then, if we accept that they might be useful, who are the people who might actually benefit?
Well, the NIH gives some clear examples where it's often recommended. Pregnant women need more iron.
Right.
Breastfed babies often need vitamin D. Women who might get pregnant should take folic acid.
That's a B vitamin, right?
Yeah, it helps prevent birth defects.
Serious ones.
And then vegans often don't get enough B12 because of their diet, so those
Yeah.
are pretty standard medical guidelines.
Makes sense, like life stages or dietary choices, creating specific needs.
Right. And then core prescribing solutions widens it a bit. They say supplements can help with deficiencies that come from lifestyle or medical conditions too.
Like on top of diet.
Exactly. They specifically mention vitamin D, iron, and calcium as common ones.
Okay.
And then they say supplements can also support specific health conditions, like omega-3s for heart health, calcium, and D for bones.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
They even mention using supplements for athletic performance like protein, creatine, BCAAs,
Those are popular.
and then just, the general feeling of well-being that some people get from multivitamins.
Oh, yeah, like a little boost.
Then RPS Hospitals adds that as we get older, our bodies don't absorb nutrients as well.
Oh, that makes sense.
So things like calcium, D, and omega-3s might be more important then.
Okay.
They also talk about how vegan and vegetarian diets can lead to needing B12, iron, omega-3s,
Right.
and that chronic illnesses can mess with absorption too.
Yeah.
And athletes needing more protein, magnesium, electrolytes. So it's not always just diet, it's a bunch of factors.
Right, like a whole picture.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're seeing is even though healthy eating is the base, there are tons of situations where supplements can really help fill in the gaps.
Exactly. Okay, but this is all about putting stuff into our bodies. So safety has to be the priority.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the safety stuff and how supplements are actually regulated.
Okay, good idea. The NIH has some pretty serious warnings. They say supplements can have side effects.
Really?
Yeah, and to be super careful if you're having surgery, taking other meds, or have any health conditions. They also point out that the effects haven't been well studied in kids and pregnant women.
Oh, wow.
So extra caution there.
Yeah.
And pretty much every source is like, talk to your doctor before taking anything.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they say that's essential for managing your overall health.
And there's this whole thing about how supplements are regulated that's really interesting.
Oh, yeah. How's that work?
Well, the NIH says the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration,
Okay.
they regulate supplements as food, not drugs.
Oh, interesting. So different rules.
Yeah, like supplement makers can't say their product cures, treats, or prevents disease.
No.
And Dr. Hop from the NIH says there's not much proof supplements can reverse chronic diseases either. So, got to be realistic about what they can do.
It's not like a miracle cure-all.
Definitely not. And the quality control part is kind of eye-opening.
How so?
The NIH says the FDA doesn't actually check the quality or effects of supplements before they go on sale.
Whoa, so they don't evaluate them beforehand?
Nope. It's a big difference from how prescription meds are handled.
That's a little worrying.
It is, because it means the label might not be accurate. You could be getting too much, too little, or stuff that's not even listed.
So how do you know it's good then?
Well, the NIH does mention there are independent organizations that do testing,
Okay.
and they give seals of approval. It doesn't guarantee everything's perfect, but it means it was made properly and has the ingredients on the label.
So it's like a quality check.
Yeah. And it gets kind of scary when the NIH and this Dr. Coates mention that some herbal remedies, especially for weight loss, sexual stuff, athletic performance,
Okay.
they're more likely to be contaminated with actual pharmaceuticals.
Seriously. That's messed up.
Definitely something to watch out for. And it all goes back to that natural doesn't mean safe thing.
Right.
Carol Hagens from the NIH uses comfrey and kava as examples.
Mm-hmm.
Those can cause liver damage even though they're from plants.
Wow, okay.
She says you got to know the chemistry and how it works in your body.
Not just assume it's harmless.
Yeah. And for anyone taking supplements, the NIH and Carol Hagens say watch those daily values on the label.
The percentages.
Yeah. And know the upper limits for vitamins and minerals. Too much of them can be bad. They even give examples like vitamin K messing with blood thinners.
Oh, right.
Ginkgo biloba, maybe increasing bleeding risk. And St. John's wort, changing how your body breaks down tons of drugs.
Making them less effective?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So talking to your doctor is super important.
For sure. Makes total sense.
Okay, so we know when supplements might be useful and some safety stuff. But what does the research actually say about specific ones?
Right, like which ones are worth it?
The NIH says the most common are multivitamins, calcium, vitamins B, C, and D. They talk about calcium and D for bones, C and E as antioxidants.
Classic vitamins.
Fish oil gets a nod too. They say it's got pretty solid evidence, especially for heart health.
Okay.
And then folic acid for preventing birth defects. That's well researched.
Yeah, I've heard that's important.
And Core Prescribing Solutions backs that up. They talk about studies on vitamin D and fractures, omega-3s and heart stuff, probiotics and gut health, folic acid, and birth defects.
So there's some agreement on those.
Yeah, but here's where it gets wild. The NIH highlights this surprising finding about vitamin E.
Oh.
Early research was like, oh, it might lower prostate cancer risk in men.
Okay, seems good.
But a big NIH study found it actually increased the risk.
Whoa, really? So the opposite of what they thought.
Exactly. Dr. Coates, one of the researchers, says this shows why it's so important to do really good studies.
So you don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah, because those early observations can be misleading.
I guess it makes sense. Like, we're still figuring all this stuff out.
Totally. And the NIH also says that for some other popular supplements, glucosamine for joints, echinacea for immunity, flaxseed oil for digestion, the evidence isn't that strong yet.
So more research is needed.
Yeah, it's not all black and white. So we've got this complex, ever-changing world of supplements. What's next for all this?
Well, Core Prescribing Solutions points to some cool trends. They talk about better bioavailability, like liposomal encapsulation.
Liposomal what?
It's like putting the nutrient in a tiny bubble to help your body absorb it better. Oh, that's interesting.
And then nutrigenomics.
Okay, another big word. It's about tailoring supplements based on your genes.
Wow. Like personalized supplements.
Exactly.
And then they mentioned microbiome modulation, using probiotics and prebiotics to make your gut healthier.
Yeah, the gut's super important for overall health.
So this whole personalized nutrition thing seems to be big everywhere.
It is. It's about moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach.
And Core Prescribing Solutions talks about DNA-based supplements,
Yeah.
using data from wearables, making custom formulas.
So, like, imagine supplements tailored to you based on your DNA and how you live.
That sounds pretty futuristic.
It does. Of course, there are challenges like the cost of genetic testing and understanding the results.
Yeah, it's still early days.
But the potential is huge.
Okay, as we wrap up our deep dive, what are the big things people should take away from all this?
I think the main message from the NIH, RPS hospitals, and the Better Health Channel is that supplements should complement a good diet, not replace it.
Right, like they're not a substitute for real food.
Exactly. Whole foods have this amazing mix of nutrients that you just can't get from a pill.
And the NIH has these wise choices tips.
Oh, yeah. What are those?
They say, tell your doctor about any supplements you're taking. Read labels carefully. Remember, natural doesn't mean safe. And don't take more than recommended.
All solid advice.
And every source is like, talk to your doctor or dietitian before starting any new supplements.
Especially if you're pregnant, have health issues, or are on meds.
Yeah, super important. RPS Hospitals emphasizes sticking to the recommended doses.
Right, because too much of some things can be harmful.
Exactly. And the Better Health Channel reminds us that fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, can build up in your body and cause problems if you take too much.
Okay, good to know.
So read those labels carefully, look for quality, watch out for unnecessary additives, look for those seals of approval, and be aware of interactions with medications. That's a lot to remember.
It is, but it's all about being informed and staying safe.
And the Better Health Channel also points out that supplements are really meant to be a short-term thing for specific deficiencies.
Ideally with a doctor's guidance.
Right. So the bottom line is supplements can be helpful for some people in some situations.
But it's complex.
And you got to be careful.
And a good diet is still the foundation.
For sure. So that brings us to our final thought for you today.
Okay, hit me with it.
After this deep dive and everything we've learned, what questions do you have about your own needs?
That's a good one.
Does it seem like supplements fit into your health journey? We encourage you to check out the NIH websites. They've got tons of info.
What are those again?
It's odds.od.nih.gov. Fact sheets list all, and www.sld.nlm.nih.gov.
Okay, I'll check those out.
But most importantly, have a good, honest talk with your doctor about your specific situation.
That's the best advice.
They're the best guide in this whole confusing world of supplements.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.